Can you do a roll call, please?
Absolutely. First, we have Chair Carter.
Here.
Vice Chair Bluth has already confirmed he would be absent for this meeting. Committee Member Hunter,
Present.
Committee Member Ostavar,
Here.
Committee Member Schmidt,
Here.
Committee Member Polly is also absent. And for staff, we have Community Development. Oh, sorry about that. Committee Member Tregenza.
Here.
Your name was on a second line, sorry. And then for staff, we have Community Development Director Cole, Senior Associate Planner Schmidt, myself, Recording Secretary Jennifer Cleary, and Admin Assistant Erica Barrera.
Excellent. Thank you. We are going to open the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the minutes from September 1st, 2020. I will take a motion from the committee, or if someone would like to discuss an item on the consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second that.
Awesome. Is there any other discussion on that? Seeing none, we'll go for a vote. Can you please do roll call?
Yes, and before we take a vote, I do want to announce public comment just to
Yes.
give people a chance from the public if they would like to comment on Zoom about the minutes. Members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. This meeting is also streamed live on youtube.com/City of Monterey with a 10-second delay and Comcast channel 25 with up to a 90-second delay. If you would like to provide public comment, please join the meeting using Zoom or by telephone, making sure to join in time to accommodate delays. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers provided on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. Since the meeting has started, you'll find the agenda under the Recent tab. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864 toll free. Once again, 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. If the first number doesn't work, please try another listed on the meeting agenda. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. The webinar ID for this meeting is 161-914-9563. Once again, this meeting's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. If prompted for a participant ID, press pound. Detailed instructions for using Zoom are also available at monterey.org/public meetings. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. Public commenters will be muted until it is their turn to speak. Please turn off your computer or TV speakers or go to another room while connected, as background noise interferes with the broadcast. Public speakers will be called upon in order of hands raised. There is a 3-minute time limit for today's meeting. Please stay within that limit. And we do currently have no attendees in person or on Zoom. So I will continue with the roll call vote. And if somebody joins and raises their hands, we'll give them a chance to provide public comment.
Jennifer, I saw that Shelley raised her hand. Did you have something to add, Shelley?
Oh, did I miss you on the?
No, that was an accidental
Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
operator error.
Oh, and we do have committee member Polly here now as well. Thank you for joining us. I will mark you present
Awesome.
via Zoom.
I think we're ready to go into roll call vote now.
I believe so. Thank you for catching that hand raised. First, we have Chair Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Bluth is absent. Committee member Hunter.
Aye.
Committee member Ostavar.
Aye.
Committee member Polly.
Aye. Here.
Committee member Schmidt.
Aye.
Oh, sorry, committee member Polly, this is for approval of the minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't think I was even present at the last meeting, so I'll abstain.
Got it. I will mark that right now. And committee member Schmidt,
Aye.
sorry if I already got you. And committee member Tregenza.
Aye.
Thank you. These minutes are approved by a vote of 6. Oh, sorry, 5.
Excellent. We're now going to open our meeting for public comments. If there are any members of the public who would like to discuss an item not on our agenda today, they're welcome to do so.
Once again, to join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864 toll free. Once again, 833-568-8864, then enter the webinar ID. For this meeting, that is 161-914-9563. Once again, this meeting's webinar ID is 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of the screen. Or to provide public comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. And currently, we still have no attendees either in Zoom or in person, so I would say it's safe to move on.
As always, we will listen to public comment if we get any.
Thank you for confirming.
All right, next we're going to open our public appearance item, which is consider 787 Monterey Avenue sign permit amendment application. PA-21-0147 to allow an internally illuminated wall sign at 787 Monterey Avenue. Staff, do you have a report for us?
Chris Schmidt.
Yes.
there you are.
Yes, thank you, Chair. My name is Chris Schmidt. I'm a senior associate planner with the city, and I've been working with the applicant on this project. Not only just the sign permit, but this Monterey Institute of International Studies dormitory project for the last couple of years, and it's come out to be a very nice project. So moving on to the sign that we have today, yes, we're looking at a sign permit amendment. And this is to allow internal illumination within an existing wall sign. The staff recommendation is to adopt a resolution to approve the sign permit amendment. Here we see the site. It is a double fronting site. It fronts both Abrigo and Monterey Avenue. It contains, as I mentioned, the Monterey Institute dormitory, which is a 64-room dorm. This is a recent project. I believe in the staff report details. The applicant had submitted an application in 2019 and received a use permit approval for the conversion of this commercial office building into a dormitory, and that project is just about or nearing completion. And then I'll add, it does have a general plan designation of commercial. It is zoned C2, which is our community commercial district, with an ES emergency shelter overlay. So as detailed in the staff report, these signs, the 3 signs, and I'll show the third on the next slide, were approved. They were eligible for administrative approval. And with the exception of the one that we're looking at today, the sign itself was approved, but the internal illumination aspect was not. Otherwise, the wall signs would typically be eligible for administrative approval. And in talking with the applicant and the property owners, because the dormitory would be opening soon, we agreed that it would be prudent to get the signs up there. And to show that this is the official MIS building, and we would return to the ARC at a later date to get approval of the internal illumination. Staff, knowing that this was a fairly well-designed sign, was fairly hopeful that the ARC would appreciate it and hopefully approve. So yes, here we see the 2 wall signs on the on the facade facing inward to the parking lot. And then here is the third wall sign that is painted on adjacent to the entrance to the garage. There's a garage underneath the door, the dormitory, and that's along Monterey Avenue. So moving on to the proposal, here we see the sign in question. And again, that was a sign I showed in the previous slide. That is 14.66 square feet in area. And it is an aluminum cabinet sign with a clear acrylic face, and it has a white diffuser backing film, a 60% white backing film. And the sign maker, who is actually is different from the applicant. The applicant, Monterey Signs, installed the sign. I had some correspondence with the sign maker about the internal illumination. It's a topic that comes up a lot with these, where there's a kind of a backing film. The LEDs themselves had an overall illumination of just over 2,000 lumens, but we estimated, and I agree with their estimation, that only about half of that is making it out of the sign based on the opaque nature of the blue portion, which no light shines through, and then the white, only a portion of that is shining through as well. And then also the light color temperature is 3,000 Kelvin, which is a fairly warm light, which honestly, with the white backing, it looks white, but it's appropriate for the Monterey Institute's logo, or rather school crest, to have it this color. So staff was able to make the three required findings. The first being that the proposal achieved the purposes and objectives of the sign ordinance. The second finding is that the proposal needs to be consistent with the guidelines, or the ARC determines that the proposal achieves the purpose and objectives rather than just the strict application of the guidelines. And then the third is that the proposal is consistent with the general plan. And I'll add, for that second finding, this sign really met all of the sign guidelines recommendations, rather. It's just that the ARC does have to review all internally illuminated signs. So with that concludes my presentation. Staff's recommending approval of the permit amendment. I am available for questions. The applicant, Monterey Signs, John Mata from Monterey Signs is here as well, and the representative for the property owner as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Are there any questions for staff?
I had a quick question. Maybe it's a little more of a comment, but I think I read that the sign is already operational. It just needs to be plugged in. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And actually, because it was already, all of the electrical was already connected, but it had not been entirely connected. I did ask the sign installer to turn it on, because it was already set up, and I went and looked at it, and I thought it looked nice.
That was my question. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll add that I tried to take a photo. It didn't do the sign justice. It looked too bright in the photo, and so I haven't shown that today.
Understood. Yeah, perhaps we could, that would be a good one for a field trip someday, but not this time. I don't. That's the end of my questions. Thanks.
Thank you. Are there any other questions?
I've got a question for Chris. So we saw like a close-up and an explanation of the school crest, but is the other sign that was on the right of that, is that just backlit letters?
Exactly right. Yeah. So these are the halo lit address sign, I think is what you're referring to.
Right.
It is halo lit. Halo lit signs do not actually require ARC approval.
Okay.
So the lighting has already been approved for that one as well.
Okay. I think it looks fine. Thanks.
Are there any other questions for staff? You good? Okay, then would the applicant like to make a presentation?
I think I'm the applicant, John, Monterey Signs. I think Chris did a really good job representing what the sign is. I don't think I need to do a further presentation on it, so.
Are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, John.
No problem. Thank you, guys.
We're going to open public comments now. Can you explain to the public how they can join, please?
Yes, members of the public are encouraged to join our meetings via Zoom Gov, a secure service that connects you live with no lag time. To join the Zoom meeting from a computer or phone, use the link or phone numbers on the agenda posted at isearchmonterey.org. To join by telephone, dial 833-568-8864. This is a toll-free number. Once again, 833-568-8864. Then enter the webinar ID 161-914-9563. I repeat, 161-914-9563. To provide public comment via Zoom, please use the raise your hand function at the bottom of your screen. To provide comments by phone, dial *9 to raise your hand, then *6 to unmute when called upon. Public commenters will be announced using their last 3 phone number digits or the name typed into Zoom. And just another quick reminder, there is a 3-minute time limit on public comments. And there are still no attendees here.
Okay, then we will close public comments, take them if we get any, and we will open it up for committee member comments. Is there anybody who would like to speak?
I was just going to say that generally this looks really good. While I'm typically a low light person, which I think this still is, I think the visibility of the university is really important. So I think this is actually an important addition for signage like this.
I just would agree with that. And I think it's really exciting that Miss has dorms here now and downtown that's walking distance to campus. And I think it's a really awesome opportunity for their students too. Anyone else? All right, I'll call for a motion.
All right, I move that we approve the sign permit amendment application PA-21-0147 to allow an internally illuminated wall sign at 787 Moonross Avenue.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Great. Is there any other discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, we will go for a roll call vote.
Chair Carter,
Aye.
Vice Chair Bluth is absent. Chair, Committee Member Hunter,
Aye.
Committee Member Ostervar,
Aye.
Committee Member Polly,
Aye.
Committee Member Schmidt,
Aye.
Committee Member Tregenza.
Aye.
Thank you. This application is approved and it is appealable to the planning office within 10 days.
Thank you, John.
I just want to add, if you were not able to go look at the building, it's been beautifully done, and it's, like I said, it's really close to being complete. I just commend the group that worked on this project. They did a fantastic job.
I just wanted to thank everybody for their time and help on this project. Chris, I appreciate all your hard work and help on it. Made it easy to go through the process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Kim. Thank you, members of the committee.
Thank you for adding something beautiful to our city.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Next item on our agenda is to confirm annual appointments for chair and vice chair.
Thank you, Chair Carter. The city code establishes in July every year, we're intended to rotate chairs. And with the staffing changes we had during the summer, I missed that, quite frankly. So sorry about that. And so I did catch it, and the city council has adopted a rotation policy. And basically what that policy does is it rotates or gives the opportunity for the chairmanship position to rotate to the next senior member of the Architectural Review Committee and then the vice chair. Anybody can decline, and if they do decline, it just keeps rotating down through the process. So on packet page 30, it looks like Bob Bluth, who was our most recent past vice chair, would be eligible to be chair. We did contact him, and he's interested in serving in that position. And then committee member Hunter would be vice chair if he so willingly accepts.
Yes.
And that would be the rotation. If it sounds like everybody's accepting those positions.
Excellent.
All right. Just say thank you for your service as chair the past year or so, Zoe. So well done.
Yes, thank you, Zoe.
Yeah.
Fantastic job. Really appreciate your time.
Yeah. I started last January and we had no idea what we were getting into. So now almost 2 years later, here we are.
This is how we get everybody ready for planning commission and council.
Right. Good practice.
Great. So at the next meeting, committee member Bluth will be our chair, and we'll look forward to that.
Great. Thank you, everybody, for being so wonderful and supportive. And I'm excited for Bob.
I do
So
need to vote on it, right?
We can or not. So,
Oh.
but sure, we can vote on it. That's fine. If you want to take a motion in a second, we can do that.
would anyone like to make a motion and a second to approve Bob as the new chair and Ed as the new vice chair of ARC?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and I'll move to make Bob Bluth the new president of the Architectural Review Committee and Ed Hunter vice chair.
Great.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Great. First, we have Chair Carter.
Aye.
Vice Chair Bluth is still absent. Committee member Hunter.
Aye.
Committee member Ostervar.
Aye.
Committee member Polly.
Aye.
Committee member Schmidt.
Aye.
And committee member Tregenza.
Aye.
Perfect. These new positions are confirmed. Congratulations.
Do any members of the committee have additional committee member comments today? Seeing none, do we have any staff comments?
I do. I just have one brief comment. I
Sure.
provided you a written update on recent city council action items. I did want to let you know the state legislature has recently passed some dramatic legislation that will impact our local community and design review. And I'm thinking maybe we'll have a study session in the future where I can share with you what's happening at the state level. It's basically a response to the state's housing crisis. And there's a couple things that are emerging. So SB 9 was recently passed, and Senate Bill 9 basically allows in single family neighborhoods a second house to be constructed on the site with a building permit and no design review is how I read the legislation. So that just went into law. The other piece of it is there's actually a provision that they're going to be able to subdivide existing single family lots into two and potentially build, you'd have the existing house, the house in the back, and then two additional homes. So these are pretty radical changes, and so we'll be looking at that. The other piece of legislation that was actually passed a little while ago and we're working on is if a city has not produced the amount of housing that it's required to under the regional housing needs assessment, which is in our housing element. It's a number given to us from a regional agency that we have to zone adequate sites for. But if we don't produce that amount of housing, then we're going to have to rework some of our design guidelines into objective design standards. And we'll be working with you on those objective design standards because those projects will no longer be subject to architectural review. In the future, if we're able to build enough housing, then we will regain that ability. So there is a, I guess basically I'll call a streamlined provision for development for cities that haven't produced enough housing. We're just grappling with this at the city level. It's a radical change for us in the planning office. We're basically all exterior changes. Definitely in our commercial districts and new houses, and our residential districts came to you for architectural review. And in the future, that won't be the case. They'll have to be ministerial, they'll be able to obtain a building permit. So I'm learning more about it. I'm reading the legislation and trying to get up to speed.
So when do you think we could have a study session about all this? Couple months?
If that long.
Okay.
I need to get it in front of the planning commission and the ARC so you can understand why certain projects will stop coming to you.
I think a study session would be helpful for sure.
Yeah.
So sorry, I just want to understand, I'm not asking you to, explain it in more detail. Did you just say that because we haven't met the housing threshold, that basically no future development will go through architectural review?
That's the implication.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
But still, how does it affect the planning commission?
So it doesn't affect, as far as I know, it doesn't affect use permits. It affects like design criteria.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's only for housing though, correct?
Correct. These are housing projects.
Yeah. One additional question with that, I know it comes up, or the discussions are auxiliary dwelling units. Are these going to be subject to this, to SB9, or is that a different subject?
So that's a different subject, but very similar outcome. So that went into law in January of this past year, January 2020. The city council repealed all of our regulations for accessory dwelling units because they were more conservative than the state law. And we've been operating under the state law since January. So the Planning Commission has hosted two or three public hearings on the ADU ordinance. It'll go to the city council on actually October 19th with their recommendation. And ADUs since January had to be ministerially approved with a building permit. The draft ordinance contains a provision that new ADUs, you can have objective design standards in that ordinance. And there's two different criteria that's been developed. So first of all, the size of the ADU is established by law, 16 feet, 4-foot setbacks from rear and side property lines. I think it's an 800 square foot limit, or you can convert any existing structure. And there's also a concept called a junior accessory dwelling unit, but there's two types of units. But the objective design standards are that the new accessory dwelling unit basically match the existing house in its materials and form, with the exception of historically designated properties. For historic properties, the guidelines under the Secretary of Interior standards actually call it for a differentiation between the historic home and the new construction. So if you have an adobe, you don't have to build an adobe ADU. In fact, it's encouraged that it's a material that's separate and distinct from that. And I'm happy because if you'd like, I can, if the council chooses to approve this ordinance, I can bring back a presentation on ADUs. The piece that will be coming to you, if it's approved, and this was the most controversial discussion at Planning Commission. Planning Commission had to decide, basically state law establishes the minimum and you can be more flexible than that if you want. And so the Planning Commission is recommending that in our multifamily districts, our apartment areas, that we could consider ADUs over 16 feet up to a maximum of 25 feet in the district if it goes through design review. And really sort of one of the compelling discussion points at Planning Commission was those property owners that wanted to build, I'll say a carport or a garage and put an ADU above it, you can't do that with a 16-foot height limit. So the one place that they were comfortable at and recommend more leniency was in the R3 district. Now there was arguments on both sides of that conversation, There were people that participated in the hearing process that wanted 16 feet period throughout the whole city. And then there were people that wanted increased housing opportunities and wanted it up to 25 feet, maybe in all districts. So that was a discussion point, and the planning commission went back and forth. So you may see ADUs, but only one type of accessory dwelling unit.
Can I ask how our water situation plays into all of this?
So it's very interesting. So last year, all we built in housing was 11 housing units, and they were all accessory dwelling units
In
And-
the city?
in the city of Monterey.
Wow.
And
that
that
was
was really,
2020? I'm sorry, that was 2020?
and that was really reflective of, in my opinion, our water situation. It's
Mhm.
highly reflective of that. So how an ADU works is you will, the water district counts every sink and toilet, and it has a unit credit. So let's say a sink is 1 and a toilet is, I don't know, I think it's 1.7 or something like that. And you add those up. Actually, it basically ends up in somebody have to remove a bathroom in their existing house and retrofit existing fixtures to be able to come up with enough water for a new ADU. And so, that's the trade-off for property owners right now. It's hard to give up that bathroom or that, well, it's usually, if they have a third bathroom, they might be willing. Are you willing to give up? If you only have one bathroom left in your house, are you willing to give that up to have an ADU? And so that's the hardest decision point right now for property owners.
Okay. This is all really good information.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Just quick clarification of that. So that, the water issues would still be in effect even after these things, SB 9, et cetera.
Correct.
Yeah.
And that's one reason why I don't think SB 9 is going to have as dramatic of an impact on our community as it may on others, at least in the immediate future, because to come up with enough water, if you have a house and to build a whole nother house, you have to come up with enough water for that whole second house. That's really challenging to do. I mean, most of us have, maybe our lots are 40 or 50 by 100, 2-bedroom, 1 bath. Maybe you have maybe you have 2 baths in your home. We're fairly small
Mhm.
in terms of the size and types of units in our community versus Southern California, which has much larger homes and
Right.
many more bathrooms.
And maybe not struggling with the same water issues we are.
Correct.
Okay. Are there any other questions about all this? Thank you, Kim. We will look for more from you as this goes on. All right, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 4:37. Thank you all.